players have now spawned in. Hello folks and welcome to Exodus Esports Team Duel semi-finals game 2 of the best of 3 between, I can't even remember the names now, Pizza Money and Scary Kittens and the Mad Chemist or whatever it was.
It was Chemist, yes.
The latter in green with Upside, Ion and VioletAnia, and the former in purple with AndreasG and BurntCustard. I'm joined by the Wrong Cat.
Good evening to you all once more.
Looking at the builds on this map, we'll go into the map in a second after we've just done the early builds. We've got heavy bots and heavy air, transitioned to even heavier vehicles from the green team here with Oxide and Violet. Meanwhile, from the purple team, we have vehicles, bots and air, all sort of together.
So they're going for sort of a combined arms approach almost. I can't see that tier 1 vehicles are going to make a very significant play on this because they are so slow and clunky and so susceptible to those choke points, of which there are many on this map. I suspect that bot play is going to be quite significant. I would also expect that we're going to see a little bit of Trico farming by the players, because there's between these two fortresses, it's just a huge haven of trees, and that is just waiting for a combat fabric just to dance around there and suck them up and bolster your metal income.
There are so many trees, and importantly, there are a few choke points, and there are sort of intermediate metal expansions that I suspect we'll see where all the confrontation lies. We've got these sort of expansions all the way around, and in fact, there's actually a longitudinal divide there at the poles. So that's interesting. So it's effectively east versus west from one point of view.
The Berlin Wall, one might say. Although perhaps not.
Firefly Scouts now coming out from the green team, getting over to the fortress of the purple. Not going in just yet, but they're sitting at the side, seeing when the expansions are coming. They do...
What is this, Marshall?
Hello? Ping it. That's a T2 vehicle factory really early on, and I'm not surprised. With the amount of proximal metal that the teams have, I think a T2 rush is completely viable, because you have enough metal in your base, you have enough distance between the bases, that T2 is kind of the way to go, and the earlier you get it up, the better it's going to be.
And that's actually that's over half done. They've rushed this. Both commanders and 3 fabricators, they're focusing all of their build power on this. They're rushing this hard at the cost of expansion. Although you wouldn't notice it looking at the economies. They're only 1 or 2 metal extractors behind at any given point. So they're obviously actually making very effective use of their economy in the early game, which is always good to see. And they're actually now going to have, it's been completed, the advanced economy is now going to start up. They're going to have 9 advanced metal extractors under their belt within the first 10 minutes of the game, which is going to be a huge boost.
And an even greater boost is the green are not remotely aware of this. They have no idea that the T2 vehicles are there, and in their own base, they haven't started on their T2, they haven't queued it up, so by the time that they realise that T2 is there, the T2 economy is going to be rolling for purple, and they're going to be in an advantage. The problem with purple right now is they now need to start upping their unit production, and when they do that, that'll set green on the back foot and prevent them from thinking about scouting and make them more into thinking about reacting to the aggression of purple. They need to try and make sure that that vehicle factory remains a mystery.
Yes, Soldier Trico has just built tier 2 metal extractors, much safer and probably significantly more profitable. They've also got the energy now, the energy plants going online. That's just going to free up all of the tier 1 fabricators just to spread far and wide and go and work on outlying expansions. And they've actually neck and neck taking over economy even, which for a T2 rush you'd expect at this stage in the game to be far behind. But they've, again, I think what you said was absolutely accurate, that there's enough metal close to the spawn that a T2 rush is not only viable but a damn good idea.
And we still don't see it from the green team, and in fact they're spreading out their commanders now, going so that we have one commander going for one side and commander going for the other, because we did have those divides at the north and south. We do have heavy air game though coming into green now. We have lots of interceptors compared to purple, who have very few indeed. Oh goodness me, could we see some more storm play?
Oh, that would make your day, wouldn't it?
It would be fantastic if they were not to learn their lessons. Already. Yeah. But they don't. Green still don't know about it. Green still do not know about it.
That's really poor. They actually. I was watching as they were building it. A set of green fighters came within a whisker of detecting it, but missed it. So largely down to poor luck, but also again, especially at this early stage in the game, you should be scouting a lot. You need to find out exactly what the strategy of your opponent is and work to counter it as hard as you can. That said, both teams guilty of this because Purple have been just tunnel visioning, working on this tier 2 at the neglect of pretty much everything else so far.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot going on in the rest of the game. We do have a few docks moving in now on this expansion here by Purple. They are managing to take down a few things. Bumblebees, though, bombing around.
Bombers will easily stop dock trades that early on.
They managed to kill off a single fabricator and a single mechs with that raid of however many docks there were. There were too many to count at a glance, but I don't think that was efficient for them.
And normally at this stage in the game, you'd think, oh yes, the kill off fabricator, fantastic. But we know that Purple have got this little hub of their base, which has got tier 2 metal extractors in it, and they're less than 10 minutes into the game, they're already 100 metal up.
And
this
the
is crazy.
Firefly just went around the edge of the base and missed the T2. It saw that there's a T2 power generator, though.
Oh, here we go. We now have an advanced vehicle factory going up from green.
Yeah.
Right there.
They've seen the advanced power generator, and so are reacting in kind, and I think it's a timely reaction, really. Metal-wise, though, they are struggling, whereas when Purple were building it, their metal was A-okay.
The reason for that, I think, primarily is the fact that they've got all of these factories. They've got so many factories, tier 1 factories in their base, all of them pumping out units. So they have been focusing quite heavily on military unit production, which is why they don't have the spare eco, whereas Purple went all in. Actually, this little expansion here has been pinged by Purple. I suspect we're going to get a bit of raiding. Again, Green expanding aggressively, but actually they're
not managing
really
to hold them.
hard to defend. They are so hard to defend.
Oh, the air game, the trades! The trades coming in, though. I think Purple realising, well, we don't necessarily want to trade at this point in the game. We lost our bombers, we're just going to stay away. We managed to kill off the fabricators, we're happy with that. We're going to conserve our air and not throw it away just yet until we're in a certainty of favourability in their confrontations.
I just can't quite believe how far ahead they are in the eco game already. It's astonishing, and they are. All of the metal points in their base have got advanced metal extractors queued up on them. They're going to absolutely steamroll in terms of economy. What they do with that economy, of course, is the important deciding factor as to whether or not it's going to be as advantageous as they would like.
And there's some bombers going over of an aggressive force of storm, sparks and docks. It did also manage to take down a fabricator that was expanding. I think Green are trying to expand in so many places, but they are not giving the anti-air support.
You know what? I actually would go ahead and say that the expansions on this map are exceedingly hard to defend because of the fact that
they're just so close to the bases.
They're isolated and directly in the middle of a huge open area. Really hard to defend, particularly against an opponent with air, as we've just seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how close they are to the bases, but yet isolated. I think they're isolated ground in ground language, but in terms of air, it just takes a second to get there.
It does. And again, with this map design, you expect both players to be using air quite extensively. So really, unless you have got, as you say, a few storms and spinners sort of accompanying the fabricators.
You say that, Spinners and Galata there, though, Purple's air running away from it, but do continue.
You need to have the anti-air mixed in with your expansion units, otherwise it's just completely futile. Oh dear, they've set fire to the forest, so there goes any hope of any Trico.
We didn't start the fire.
Oh yes, you did.
It has always burned since the world's been turning. But it's gone now.
Both of the pools of Trico slowly being ravaged by fire. That's quite disappointing to see. The Eco Warrior in me is dying a slow and painful death.
Yes. We do start to see the T2 coming out from Purple now, though. They've just got out their advanced fabricator, so now they will get out their economy and we'll start to see...
brutal bombing there. Just a one pass over the top, dropped some bombs, disappeared again, and took out a large chunk of units for very few bombers lost. Really effective trade there.
think
Purple is just completely on top of this game.
Purple really are. They've got the economy currently, although that could change now that the T2 is out for green. They're beginning to get up their factory production. They were behind at the beginning in order to get that T2 advantage super early, but they're now leading by a single factory. They've also got the fabricator advantage, and they've got the unit count advantage.
And the
They
eco.
are smashing.
Importantly, they have got
the eco.
double the eco of their opponents, which at 11 minutes into the game is really damning. But green have got to have something really special to pull out of the bag, and so I can't in my mind see what that's going to be at this moment in time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just anything can happen here. There we go. Following that Air Force in the picture-in-picture there, so we can see constantly where it's going. You can follow that in the picture-in-picture. But I think at this point, green need to realise, okay, let's consolidate our forces. We're sort of split out into two different directions, whereas purple are sort of focusing on their air and not necessarily pushing out just yet. Purple are just focusing on denying the economy of green rather than being too aggressive in terms of pushing into the base, and I think that's fair enough, because at this point they don't necessarily have the stuff to push into the base. But I think green need to make a play and decide, okay, one side or the other.
Well, right now I'm seeing lots of pings going down from the purple team. What it looks like they're doing, and I saw whilst they were doing that, everything was sat idle in the base. The two players took the time, they took a few minutes away from actually doing stuff to sit and think, what shall we do with what we've got? And actually I think that is a very useful thing to do. They spotted a target, they sent their air at it, air's gone away again. Looks like that's really their main aim, is just go out with a blob of air, kill some stuff, go back in again, and just annoy the green player. That seems to be their main aim right now. I can't see any really big killer strats coming up. I mean, at this stage, they're far enough ahead in the eco, although they don't know this, that they could go ahead and start doing stuff like a Titan, and they could easily just pull one of those off quite quickly. They're actually now building a lot more tier 2 factories because they're realising they've got enough eco. They're actually floating pretty hard. They need to get using that.
And I've just looked from the purple point of view. They do not know that green have answered with their own T2. But they can kind of rest assured that if they've gone T2, the Infernos, but you can kind of assume that if you've gone T2, you just sort of need to assume that the green has gone T2, and green actually playing with the storms this time. Oh. So we've got Violet and Oxides thinking, oh, you stormed us last time, we'll storm you this time. And actually, the Interceptor's now the air game.
Look at that go.
Wow. But they are dangerously close to the storms, dangerously close to spinners. There are some storms. I think they did just get the scout. They did just get the scout on the vehicle factory. And there are storms in that unit composition. Oh, I want to see it again, Ronka. I want to see it again so bad.
You want to see the shoe on the other foot this time around?
Yes.
Well, we shall see. I suspect, though, that particularly given how effective it was in winning them the game last time around, Purple will be watching very closely all around their air blob. If they see any storms, they will hit that panic button.
And green actually deciding to take the initiative here. They're pushing out with their heavy anti-air force and saying, okay, come at us with your air. We know that your air is your main weapon at the moment. We've got a lot of anti-air in this force. And pings actually from Purple saying, we see this. In comes the air. Is it going to vaporize?
There are
some storms. There are some storms. They do see spinners. They see heavy spinners. They're thinking, okay, let's get our bombers away from that. And
you're
maybe
looking at a different force to me. I'm
reconsolidate.
looking at this one. That Air Force could easily sweep in there and take out. And there it goes. I don't see any storms in there. That's going to have a really bad day.
There are a lot of spinners in there, though, and the bombers just need to go straight over it.
This number of bombers, just not quite enough. Look at that. Absolute devastation.
And the stop command there on the bombers to just deal with all those, just put their payload on focus down. But the air just grows.
Well, they've got lots of AA in there, but it doesn't matter because all that they're going to meet here is docks. And docks hurt a lot.
Docks do hurt. They're on. Oh, they don't want to move into the Infernos.
Once they've dealt with the Infernos, then they're going to charge in there. They're wisely charging straight in, and that force just can't break through.
But the air can't get close. There's 3 storms. The air cannot get close.
Doesn't need to. It's done what it needs to do, which is it's completely nullified any attacking power that force has.
You say that. You say that. You say that.
Why are you doing this?
yeah, they see the storms backing away, backpedaling faster than someone running away from something super bad. I was trying to think of an analogy, but I could only think of non-politically correct ones, so I decided to back away myself. But wow, that could have been disastrous for purple.
Could have been, but thankfully averted before it became crisis point.
The Doc's now chasing down though.
Look at that float on purple.
Wow, and it's double that in terms of the metal. It's still just amazing.
That is grotesque float. They need to be doing something with this metal. What are they going to do? Oh dear, we've got a DC.
Nah.
Andreas is disconnected. I think we may have to pause for a moment while we wait for him to attempt to reconnect.
Looking at the factory counts, we got so many bots from purple, lots of air, and lots of T2 vehicles, so they're really consolidating their leveler and their storm game there, saying, okay, so if we're going to force you to be defensive, eventually your air is going to meet our storms when we push in, and as a result, that's why they're doing those storms. The Docs, though, are just so good at dealing with the vehicles when they get their critical mass. And unfortunately, we don't see the level of critical mass or the defensibility of the green team to really deal with the Doc's critical mass at this point. They don't even have the bomber size. AndreasG back in the game, so we'll just have to wait for Roncat to get back into the game.
I'm back. Hello.
Hello.
That was scary timing. That at the same time Andreas dropped out, so did I. I was just in the middle of doing some analysis, and then suddenly you started talking at me. Hey, he's back in the game, and we are underway again.
We are indeed.
So, right, where were we, Marshall? There was a big firefight that just happened whilst we were gone. These Docs pushed through and saw off the last of that Tier 2 force, including the storms.
Yeah, I was just saying that
That
the Docs can now...
line.
Yeah, I was
He's
just saying that the
exposed.
Docs can push in, and Green are just going to have to play defensively. And in fact, this Commander pushing out very aggressively. This is the 2 boots com. Is there another 2 boots com? Because if there is, that's... they're both 2 boots. Ugh. But I was going to say...
is in a nasty place right
Uber
now.
Cannons, though. Impressive Uber Cannons, but he is
Not
taking a
enough.
lot of damage, and he's
Nowhere
now
near enough. He
surrounded
is
by
toast.
Docs.
That Commander is absolutely barbecued by
And
Docs.
down go all the vehicles as well, and the bots as well. Purple can now push in on this side with ease. The other side, though, the air met the Commander and a bunch of storms. That sets Green back now, doesn't it?
Just a little bit, as if they needed any more setbacks at this stage in the game. Purple are just absolutely dominating that. Violet saying she's going to find a coffin. That Commander's about to get bomber sniped so hard. Hashtag multipass. GG.
Hashtag multipass.
Very well played to Purple team, who now go through to the final.
Yes, that was the best of 3. AndreasG and BurntCustard of Pizza Money go through to the finals, and we'll see who they are facing. Let's have a look in the brackets. It looks as though Game K is still running. Pie of the People and Spaghetti Strats are not yet finished with their best of